Okay. Oh, all right. I'll let you drive that. Okay. So I'm really excited about this program. Um, I have been going through the exercises I'm going to teach you for the last couple of weeks. And, just as I have shifted certain things and learned them and gotten the downloads for it, and this stuff is extraordinary. The amount of tangible, massive transformation that can come from what I'm going to teach you in this program is unlike anything I've ever taught. And it is just like, really, I keep having to re-examine it over and over again because of how powerful some of these concepts are going to be. And so let me just give you initially just a little bit of an overview what I'm going to teach you today. And then I'll lead you through some of these exercises, and I'll introduce the program that I've been hinting at for the last couple of weeks. So the goals for this particular class is I want to teach you a couple of things. So I want to give you a couple of baselines of knowledge, so that you have a certain level of tangible experience in your own life that allows you to apply the things I'm going to teach directly without having to take my word for it. So all of the concepts I'm going to be teaching you, you'll be able to apply to your own life instantaneously. You'll see how they fit. You'll be able to do these exercises on your own. And some of these exercises you'll actually be able to take and just run with. And what you're going to find is you'll hit a certain stumbling blocks, and those stumbling blocks are where the Master Key program comes in. So the Master Key program is the 4-week program that I'm going to be introducing throughout the course of this masterclass. But I'm going to be giving you some prerequisites so that as we step into that masterclass, you have a huge bank of tools that you can use on your own for the rest of your life, as well as the tools that we can use as we step into the masterclass itself. Or into the program itself, rather. So, couple of things. I guess I'll just tell you my story a little bit about how this stuff kind of evolved. So I've been doing color puncture for a number of years, and through color puncture, I've been using that tool to help people reframe their experiences. So whether they were having emotional trauma that they wanted to heal from, or they had relationship things that were coming up that they wanted to do. I had several, actually over 8 clients that I worked with for just a specific color puncture program, and every single one of them either got married or found a very powerful partner for the work that they were coming to do. And so as I did this color puncture work and I healed my own life and I attracted Annie into my life and I was working through these different puzzles, I was able to solve a huge amount of problems, but kept coming up to, let's say, a certain type of barrier. Right. So I believed, well, I could be really good at these things, but maybe maybe my soul chose not to be able to make a lot of money, or my soul chose to not be able to make this kind of thing. And it could be good at all these things, but maybe not. And so what that led me to was an understanding of how our beliefs not only influence what we think and what we feel, but they literally are the framework through which those energies flow. And so as I began doing this work, as I taught some of my freedom teaching sessions on beliefs, I started to build this bigger and bigger arsenal of understanding about not just belief, but how do beliefs influence our thoughts, emotions? How do those thoughts and emotions connected to our beliefs influence what our dreams form as physical matter? And so one of the things I was always really frustrated about was law of attraction type manifestation. And so people are like, oh, just feel the thing you want and think positive thoughts. And everything that did was make people afraid of their own consciousness, because they wanted to manifest and they believed they had to have a force of will that was present to make them successful at that manifestation process. And I was always really frustrated with that, because I always felt like I was lying to myself. I felt affirmations were lies that did not feel like they were authentic to me. And so over time, I've built these techniques and protocols not only to help you shift and install new beliefs in miraculous and extraordinary ways, but I will teach you how to find what you currently believe, and I will teach you how to dismantle it. And you will find that it is extraordinarily powerful, and it does not require force of will. It does not require a tremendous amount of willpower. All it requires initially is 5 minutes of focus and a little bit of work. And so as we learn these techniques and you begin to apply them in your own life, you will see that time can be compressed in really amazing ways. And as we learn to compress time, the results that you get happen faster. And so part of the exercise that we're going to do is to teach you how to understand the beliefs that you've already had and how those have created the life you're currently experiencing. And I'm also going to teach you how to not only tap into probabilities, but I'm going to teach you how to see how you've already been exercising your understanding of probable data without even being aware of it. Okay. And so one of the things that's happened for me as I've shifted some of these beliefs and some of these programs using the techniques that I'm going to give you, I've already increased my bank account by 25% in the last 2 weeks. I had several people sign up for this program before I have even opened the doors or hosted this particular masterclass to even tell people what the class is about. And last year, my bank account increased, multiplied by 7. Just doing the techniques that I'm going to be teaching you, I'm going to walk you through the process of installing not only the things that you want to hold as your ideal, but how do you navigate beliefs that oppose that ideal? How do you dismantle the old beliefs that you find get in the way? And how do you even track those beliefs as you're going through the thoughts and actions as you move forward into the thing you want to do? So if you're a coach or if you're just an individual who wants to live a bigger life, a more fulfilling life, everything that I'm going to teach you will empower you to direct yourself and create your own alignment towards your greatest fulfillment. And it is so powerful. So, and it is really, really powerful. And so I'm really excited to do this. So what I want to start with is a couple of different exercises, and then I'm going to kind of weave some things in together for you. Instead of starting right with belief, because some of you have come to my belief freedom teaching sessions or may have watched them, and you're welcome to message me about those after the class if you'd like. The other thing I want to mention, if you guys have any questions or you want to bring something up along the way, feel free to type it in the chat. I may not answer it immediately. I'm going to wait until the end to answer some of those questions, but Anastasia is going to be tracking that. And we'll watch those and we'll kind of navigate it that way. So if you have questions as this happens, feel free to ask anything you'd like. I'm going to answer everything you possibly can think of if I can to get you guys prepared. My goal from this masterclass is not only to show you how powerful this stuff is, but to show you possibility. So if you're somebody who is attracted to doing this work and you are called to doing this work, then you might, as I announce this program, there will be beliefs in you that come to the surface just by nature of the information that comes up. And so part of that game is, how do you navigate that? How do you get rid of the opposition that shows you that there's a possibility here? And how do you open up your mind to see the data that exists within that possibility? So part of what has happened our entire lives is we have chosen our beliefs. Let me see if I wrote this because this was a good one. We have, oops, let me see if I saved that. So part of what we've done throughout our entire lives is we have consciously chosen our beliefs and then we focus on them. So what happens is we choose our beliefs, whether they were chosen when we were a child and we saw how our parents behaved and how our parents talked, and we just willfully accepted what our parents believed as the initial template, or we accepted beliefs throughout the several years of our life, or we had a trauma that happened that caused us to shift our beliefs. The first thing that we want to understand is that we accepted our beliefs, whether they're the belief that we want or the belief that is the most empowering for us. We did accept our belief from some level of our being, wanted that experience. And so as we start to understand that we accepted our beliefs, that also gives us power to choose our beliefs from our present moment. And so what's happened is we've consciously accepted our beliefs and then we focused on them and we excluded data that conflicted with those beliefs. We excluded data that conflicted with those beliefs. So if you're looking at even things that are happening in the mainstream narrative, you can see there's a tremendous amount of polarity and a tremendous gap between the two different stories. And you can see that what's happening is people are being hypnotized by repetition of a story. You will realize that it does not take fact in order to convince you that something is true, and that seeing is not believing, but instead believing allows you to see data that you otherwise would have ignored. And so when we focus our belief, when we focus our attention, and we do this belief work, or whether we're just operating on beliefs that we already have, you are operating on a focused amount of data, and you're ignoring data that conflicts with what belief you hold. Now, as you change your belief, you begin to open yourself up to data that has always been there, but you weren't aware of it because your beliefs filtered it out and disempowered you. Now, when we hold that belief, not only did we focus our mind and ignore conflicting data, but we narrowed our passion, we narrowed our focus, we narrowed our interests to the areas that fit within our belief. So now you're starting to see this tremendous amount of potential data that is there, but you may not be accessing it because of where your point of focus is. As you do this focus exercise, you're accordingly activating unconscious mechanisms that then materialize as convincing evidence in your physical reality. So let me repeat it. So you had a belief, you focused on the data that affirmed that belief, and you ignored data that conflicted with it. You focused your interests and narrowed your interests to the things that align with that belief. And then as that happens, you through unconscious mechanisms, your cells realign, those energies realign, and then that materializes as evidence that affirms the belief that you're holding. This is very powerful stuff. So as you start to digest the implications of this, let's start a couple of different exercises. So what I want you to do from these exercises is I'm going to introduce you to probability. I'm going to teach you that not only do you already activate within probability fields, but you can already imagine and see them, and probably already do without even realizing it. What we're going to do with probability is we're going to tie this to belief, so you can understand not only can you change your belief about what is possible to a very extreme level, but you can align with the probabilities that make that more probable and more possible intentionally. So this exercise, and you're welcome to take notes or rewatch this. This will be recorded. You're welcome to rewatch this and do these exercises on your own. You're welcome to just kind of walk through them with me. I'm going to run through them a little bit quicker here because they're kind of, what I want you to do is get a sense, a felt sense of what the implications of these exercises are. And I will give you additional examples so you can really see how they apply to your life already. So the first example, the first exercise, and these are going to somewhat build on each other, and you'll see that as we walk through them. So you're going to start by taking a remembered scene from your past. So you're going to take a memory. And what I want you to do with that memory, as you're thinking of that memory, I want you to experience that memory with the addition of your imagination. And using your imagination, I want you to think of that memory with the context that there are other probable extensions of that memory. What does that mean? So let's say I went back in time, and I went back in time to the time where, let's say I went back in time to when I broke my back. And from that moment, I can see there are many alternate pathways I could have taken. So let's say that I was a gymnast, I broke my back on vault. So for me, if I was doing this exercise, I would go back to my memory on the vault. I would go back to the runway. I would go back to the probable outcomes. And what can I do from here? I have the one memory that is me flipping over the vault and injuring myself. But from the same point of consciousness, I can imagine other outcomes of that movement. As I begin to imagine other outcomes from that movement, I can start to see that there were other probable realities where I did not get injured in that event. Okay? And so you can do this with different actions within your own life, and that's just the first layer. So all we've done so far is we've picked a memory, and I want you to imagine that memory with possible other alternative pathways that lead from that memory. Oops. So, like I said, if you guys have questions along the way about these exercises, feel free to type them in the chat box. And we'll just keep going through them and building the elements from there. Now, the second exercise. Take any incident that happened today. Could be you getting stuck at a red light. Could be you making breakfast. Could be anything. And I want you to see that event as one that came from a vast bank of probable events. Examine the event and then trace its emergence in your own life from past events. What other events might emerge to become action in your probable future? Now see this event from an external view and try the same exercise. So what does this mean? We're taking an event that happened today. So let's say you got stuck at a red light. Well, down one of the main downtown streets that you can run on, there's a series of 6 red lights in a row. And I got stuck at the 3rd red light. Now, what is the probability of me getting stuck at that 3rd red light? What events led me to doing that? Well, let's say I was on my way to the gym. Well, this morning I was on my way to the gym and we were making breakfast. Well, it took me an extra 4 minutes to make breakfast because I did something different. That extra 4 minutes pushed me in a different direction. And then I had to go to the bathroom right before I left. That caused another 3-minute delay. Now, I left a couple of minutes later, so as I'm driving down the street, there's a couple of new cars that pull in front of me that slow me down another way. And now there's another car that was driving below the speed limit as I was going down through those traffic lights. And instead of me making it to the 5th light, I got stuck at the 3rd because of those delays that happened earlier in the morning. Now, what if those delays didn't happen? There's other probable realities where I could have made it through those red lights. And so what I want to help you see here is the possibilities of alternate modes of direction that are always existing, but that your consciousness has been focused on one reality based on the beliefs that you hold and based on what you think should be happening. Now, as I examine that same scenario, let's say that when I went to this exercise and I was looking from my standpoint saying, okay, I made a different breakfast and I had to go to the bathroom before I left. Well, now let's go to a 3rd person point of view. Let's go to an external view of these events, right? Now I can see it from Anastasia's point of view as the different events occurred to me through her eyes. And so I can watch these different events occur, and that can give me another perspective on the probabilities that exist. And what I want you to see here is that there are other probabilities and perspectives that our consciousness can align with and see. 3rd exercise. Take a photo. It could be an old or a new photo. You can look at your photo on the screen here and look at it. Now, imagine that this is a still photo if it's a video, and see this photo as a self posed in perfect focus, emerging from other probable pictures that could have been taken. So you have a photo, and you're looking at that photo in a certain pose, in a certain state of emotion, in a certain environment. And now you can imagine other poses that could have been taken in place of that photo that you're currently looking at. And a bunch of different ideas of different facial expressions and things should come to mind just by nature of thinking that. Notice or sense the subtle expression of those other photos as tinting and shadows in the one that was taken. and see how they co-create with each other and co-communicate. Number 4. Now choose a different photograph. Ask yourself when you look at this photo, preferably a completely different photo, and ask yourself, am I looking at the same person? How familiar or how strange is the photo that you're looking at? So if you looked at a present photo and you looked then at a childhood photo, how does the identity in the photos differ? What ways did you think of following in one picture versus another? What embodiment did you have in one photo versus another? And how did you think? And how did you act? And what trajectory did you aim for? These other avenues were pursued by a probable self. All of these opportunities were, are, and have been, and will be pursued by an aspect of your consciousness. What other lines of development can you imagine? So if you go back to that younger self photo and you currently see that that younger self developed into your current self in the current photo, what other lines of probability or development could that younger self have followed? What skills could that younger self have cultivated had it gone down a different probable avenue? Then how might those ideas fit into the framework you currently live? What does that mean? You're going back to a past self and you're imagining alternate probable trajectories of that self and skills that that self cultivated. Now, as you look at that, those are skills that you have access to. So one of the things that you can do as you explore this probable self is recognize that that probable self is an aspect of you. And any skills that probable self has are skills that you can tap into so long as you align with the probability and the beliefs that allow them to manifest. Now, if you don't have the beliefs, you erase the data that isn't there. Exercise 5. Choose another photo. Now, when you look at this photo, picture yourself as a representative of your species in a particular place and time. Look at it like you might a picture of an animal in its environment. If it's a room, see the room as a peculiar environment, as natural as the woods. How does your image stand out from or merge with the objects in the room? As you look at those other objects in the room, see those other elements as characteristics of the image and view them as extended features that belong to you. See shadows in the image as belonging to the self in the image. Imagine, examine yourself from another point of view within the image. So if you look at this image, can you step outside and into the room with your consciousness and see yourself from the outside and look around the room? Now, recognize yourself again and look up from the photo. So if you're looking down at your photo or at your phone or anywhere, now look up. The photo, with all of the objects and information in it, the snapshot, is just one small object in the range of your total vision. You are outside yourself in the photograph, yet the photo remains intact. You cannot kill the tree that's depicted in the photo. Now, what this means, if you're having trouble grasping these concepts, so these concepts are very symbolic, they're very intuitive, And so if you're trying to use your rational mind to process too much of this, you're going to get in your own way just because of the beliefs you currently hold. So part of this game is a visualization exercise to help you practice seeing from outside of yourself into other probable possibilities. Seeing yourself as a consciousness that moves through time, and where time is not a linear thing, but a place or location. Now think of your ancestors, whatever they may be to you, and then think of your contemporary family. So basically you're thinking of past families and past lives, and now you're thinking of your family in this life. And now try to imagine time as something like space, almost like a tapestry. If your ancestors lived in the 18th century, then think of that century as a place that exists, as surely as another place. Now, imagine your children 50 years from now. And imagine that as a different place on that tapestry. Imagine and then what I want you to do is think of your ancestors, yourself, and your children, so 3 different coordinate points on this tapestry, as members of one tribe, each journeying into different countries rather than times. So not thinking about linear time as one timeline and you having journeyed into one specific timeline and that being the only one, but understanding that you as a tribe decided to enter this tapestry in a certain coordinate point, in a certain country, in a certain location in space-time. Now, cultures represent environments of the different countries within this analogy. So to go back over that one more time, you have your ancestors, your contemporary self, and your children in the future. So 3 different times that have entered the century as a place. So the country being the century. And then within that country is the culture that they entered. So now try to imagine you can have timelines that have the same time, but different countries or cultures in that time, space, location. And so what I want you to start to open up to is the probable fields of all of these different simultaneous realities that exist along this tapestry. All of these explorations of possibility and probability occur at once. We happen to be focused in the one that we're focused on, and we can change our focus at any time. There is a homeland from which we originated, and letters are sent back home from that experience. And so with these exercises, what I wanted you to get a glimpse of is the possibility of seeing different probable futures or different probable pasts. And as you begin to see a possibility of probable pasts and probable futures, you've suddenly opened yourself up to other skills that you didn't even know were possible. And so the game of belief work isn't so much choosing what you believe, but it's understanding what you believe and the probabilities of aligning with the outcomes that you believe will happen associated with that belief. So one of the biggest problems I see in the world of belief is that people say, oh, it's just my beliefs. Okay, I'm going to do affirmations. I'm going to do law of attraction. I'm going to focus on the positive. And then you start saying, okay, money flies at me. Money's not flying at me. Now I'm losing money. Money's not flying at me. Okay, I need to focus. I can't think about that. I have to focus on money flying at me. Okay, money's flying at me, but it's not flying at me. And so you have this conflict within you because money isn't flying at you, and you know you're lying to yourself. And so you've tried to install a belief saying, oh, well, he said you can choose your beliefs, and I chose that money flies at me, and it's not working. The thing we want to understand is that the beliefs that we adopt have to be possible to our current belief. So if we have $1,000 in our account and we want to create the belief that we have $1 million in our bank account, the gap is too big for the beliefs that we currently hold. There's too many other beliefs tied to what we currently perceive that would create a perceptive gap that makes it really hard to cross that particular threshold. And so what we want to do is understand that it's not about going from 1,000 to 1,000,000. What it is about understanding the incremental steps to get there. So every belief leads us to more information that can allow us to expand that belief. Everything is expansive. Nothing is ever complete. So you're never going to create the perfect belief that solves all those problems. What you're going to do is you're going to create a belief that brings up more information, that brings up the oppositional beliefs that allow you then to rework how those beliefs actually work. So now we're going to start talking about beliefs and how you start to do that work a little bit more specifically. And so what you're going to find is that the challenge with this belief work isn't just doing the exercise that I give you, but it's actually installing the most effective beliefs for the stage that you're at so that you can compress time as quickly as possible. Your consciousness doesn't want to go from 0 immediately to 100. It wants to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 100. It can do that very, very quickly, but you can't skip numbers. And so the strategy is understanding how do you find what numbers are yours that resonate with your soul and understand how to cultivate the correct beliefs so you can get that acceleration opportunity. And how the same way that I was able to create effective beliefs that allowed me to make over 15 grand in the last 2 weeks before I've even opened the cart for this program. And so the beliefs that I was able to bring in people and I was able to stand in my power behind what I'm doing, the beliefs that allow me to empower myself and have conviction behind what I'm teaching, the beliefs that allow me to shift my body image and the way that I can shift sexuality and the way that I can shift how I show up and how I speak, and the beliefs that allow me to change the information that just comes through me without me having to search for it or find information or find the confirmation. And so what I can do with this work is I can actually begin to literally craft my alignment. I don't wait for alignment. I don't wonder where my alignment is until I find it. I know how to craft it specifically so that the things that I want to happen when I want them to happen. This is not manifestation. This is what influences how things manifest. I don't do any manifestation work. I don't need to do any meditation. I don't need to do any of that kind of work. The only thing I need to know how to do is, what am I feeling? So I need a little bit of emotional intelligence, and I need to be able to ask the right questions to know what I believe. And as I begin to dismantle those beliefs, I become much more empowered to shift the things towards what I want them to be. And so part of this Master Key program over the next, that begins in February, we're going to be meeting twice a week for 4 weeks. So the first session, I'm going to give you very specific exercises to do with very specific questions that are going to bring about not only what you currently believe, but help you establish the beliefs that your heroic timeline self would hold. So we're going to craft the trajectory that we want to aim for, and we're going to create the steps that we need to take to actually aim for that trajectory. And then I'm going to hold you in the frequency of those beliefs and get you there, because it happens so quickly. And so as we do this work, as we start to craft those beliefs, we're going to use the techniques that I'm going to teach you next for what to focus on. And what do you do when conflicting data comes up? And how do we navigate conflicting data? How do we dismantle oppositional beliefs? How do we refocus our consciousness on the right data? And how do we know which is the right data? How do we ask ourselves the right questions to understand what we're feeling and use that to find what we believe? Because most people don't immediately already hold the belief that their programs are subconscious, that what they believe is slightly out of reach, and that what they believe is controlled by some external mechanism, that they don't necessarily have control of what they believe. It just happens to be what they believe. But that couldn't be further from the truth. You accepted your beliefs and you can change them. And so as we start to understand that, we can start to be much more empowered to do this work and pay attention to these probabilities and to notice when we go to take an action, what we currently believe and how that's opposing what we're doing. So as you come to invest in yourself in this course, you have beliefs around what it means to invest in yourself. You have beliefs around what it means to spend a certain amount of money in relation to your bank account. You have beliefs around what it means that to hold yourself accountable and be successful. You have definitions around what it means to be successful. You have beliefs around all of these different elements, and they are all connected in very nuanced ways. And part of the skill is understanding how do we translate nested beliefs around the things that we currently believe. And so if you have a thought of poverty, you must also in your mind have a belief in its opposite. So that's important to understand. If you have abundance, you also have a belief in its opposite. We always have beliefs that are balanced on that polarity scale. And if we start to ask ourselves the right questions as we go to take actions, as we weigh what we're thinking, when our mind is looping and we can't make decisions and we're having too much data and we don't know which is the right decision, the thing is we think that we have to rationalize and then we will believe. We are operating on unexamined beliefs. And so those unexamined beliefs are running, creating creating sets of data that conflict with each other. And so we are stuck in an indecision simply because we haven't examined what we believe about what we are debating. So as we begin to make those examinations and we begin to we begin to ignore data that conflicts with what we are choosing to believe, we will begin to bring up additional information that gives us the indicator of what we believe in the other direction. Our work is not necessarily we do not want to become afraid of our own consciousness. We want to be empowered to explore our consciousness, understanding the power of our conscious mind to shape it, to create the reality that we want to create. And so as we understand our conscious mind to fit that together, as we understand how that puzzle is pieced together through our conscious mind by focusing our energy and focusing our attention and ignoring conflicting data and finding data that affirms our belief, we can become much more powerful to shift and focus towards the direction that we actually want to go while dismantling the negative side of that belief. If we believe we have a right to health, but the human condition itself is tainted, our body, our physiology will try to be healthy and not healthy at the same time. If you believe that you have a right to health and that your body is innately powerful and that it's capable of healing itself, while at the same time you are working through your relationship with food and the beliefs around food and how food affects your body and how your body is capable of handling food. If you are working through your beliefs around the invisible toxins in the air and how capable your body is to navigate invisible toxins in the air or to digest foods, and you're operating on all these externalized beliefs that people have projected onto you about how food works and how your body works in relationship to food and what is safe and what is not safe, your body's going to try to be healthy and unhealthy at the same time. So you might have pain, you might gain weight, you might have all these other things that start to surface because your body is in your cellular mechanisms are working to fulfill your belief. Always. And so when you have these conflicting beliefs that are working, it explains why you're having people aren't showing up to your offering. It explains why people aren't buying your offering because of your beliefs around your own worthiness and your own divinity and your own ability to have access to the information that can transform people. All of these beliefs influence how much money you can make, how you can show up in front of people, the information that comes through you to speak to those people, how passionate you can be when you deliver that information to them. So I really, really want you to feel how powerful this information is. I want you to understand that as we do this work, it happens overnight, how powerful you can become in the way that you show up on social media, in the way that you show up in your relationships, in the way that you show up to your friends, in the things that you can communicate, in the things that you can let go of as what you thought you were supposed to be doing, and immediately realign to a new probability that is beyond your wildest imaginings. Within 2 weeks, we're moving into a much bigger Within 2 weeks of doing this work, we're already moving into a much bigger house. We've had all kinds of different things shift, and stuff literally compresses in time when you do this work because of how powerful it is. And it is like, it's so extraordinary that as you do the exercises that I give you, while you do the exercise, you get transformation that you will never be able to ignore, because it is so viscerally powerful that it just activates you. It makes you excited. It gets you aligned. It gives you ideas, and you just have the information that you need to build the thing that you want. I was selling this course without a landing page. I was able to speak and tell people to buy it. So I was able to shift my beliefs around what it means to sell, who I am as somebody who sells, what information I can use to sell my product, the passion that I can use to sell that. All of these things become very empowering when you understand how your beliefs influence how your reality is created around you, regardless of what the world is doing or saying. None of that will ever matter. So let's talk about this exercise. It's a really simple exercise. So you guys excited about this? Is this exciting for you? Is this resonating? Is it hard to hold? Is it a lot of information? I know this stuff is, it can be interesting. It can be it can blow your mind wide open. Kind of my goal with this class is to blow your mind open a little bit, to see that there's actually a much bigger possibility than what you currently have been tapping into. So if you've been living at that $1,000 level and you don't see possibility for how you could make more money, it's because of the beliefs you currently hold are causing you to focus on that data. And there's other data there that as soon as you tap into the change in your belief, that data becomes available, and you'll be able to run with it beyond what you ever thought possible because of the data you were focusing on before. So this exercise, and I've taught this a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
How do we, and we do this all the time already, how do we install beliefs? The easiest way to do it is through focus. It doesn't take willpower, it takes focus and repetition. So notice, if you look at the mainstream media and how they've been communicating, and you look at the predictive programming, and you look at psychological operations, what are they doing? Repeat, repeat, repeat. It does not have to be true for you to believe it, but it has to resonate. It has to be true to an aspect of you. So what are we going to do? Here's how we're going to do this exercise. You're going to start by writing one sentence that is the belief you want to install. And let me see, let me give you one, because I want you to have a good one. Here, so actually, let me break one belief down real quick. So one belief that a lot of people have or want to have is money flies at me. So this belief, and the problem I have with this belief, is it's arbitrary and random. If you have an arbitrary and random belief, and then you go to sell a course, and you say money flies at me at random, and you're like, okay, I'm going to sell this course, well, then you're expecting people to buy your course. If you're saying money flies at me at random, but I expect people to buy it, there's a conflict in your belief. So instead, people show up to my classes, people show up to purchase my products, people buy from me when I have something to sell, I expect people to buy from me, and they do. The thing we want to understand is, if we are operating on this idea that money is the thing that we want, we're missing out on the other nested beliefs that are connected to it. Because if you believe that money flies at you, you're also holding the other belief that money probably doesn't, because most people who hold money flies at me are waiting for money to fly at them. And they keep waiting. They're like, okay, I'm just going to keep affirming that and lying to myself without dismantling the belief that you're also sitting on, that says, well, money actually doesn't fly at me, and I need to be able to pay my bills tomorrow, and I can't take this risk, right? And so we want to be able to look at and dismantle these kinds of things and understand, okay, what happens if I invest in this? Let's say, so the Master Key program is $1,785 if you pay it in one payment, or you can pay in 2 payments over the course of 60 days. So one payment now and then one payment 60 days later, and that's 11/11. And so, and that's the pre-sale price, which will end February 1st. So what happens is, for a lot of people, is you say a price, and some people are like, okay, I'm right on in it. I know that when I pay more money for a program, I'm investing in myself. When I invest in myself, my money multiplies. I understand how energy works, so that when I invest in it, I have to invest because that's an energy exchange. And the more energy that I exchange, the more energy can move through the codes that I'm adopting. As I adopt these codes, I understand that if I don't exchange energy, I can't energize the code that I'm trying to get. So part of that game is exchanging that energy. I understand that it can, that I can intentionally use my point of focus. I can open up to possibility to make this happen. And so when you start to open yourself up to possibility, you start to say, instead of you saying, oh, well, I only have 11/11 in my bank account. If I spend 11/11, I'm going to be, you start projecting yourself into a probability where, one, you can't afford it. Two, you have all kinds of negative consequences if you do. There are other probable futures that are possible. You can be in this position and say, I am feeling called to this. I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. I don't know what tools will come to me, but I believe that there is a probable reality where I can come up with this money and be supported, because I've always been supported. And you have. Even if you've lost everything. I've lost everything. I had no power for 2 months and no phone, and had all kinds of issues when my electronics business crashed a number of years ago. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it caused me to have all kinds of negative beliefs around money that I've had to shift and had to regrow out of. And now I have way more money in the bank, way more free time, and than I ever had selling the products I was selling through my electronics business. And I'm able to embody and live in less of a fear of who I am and fear of my own power. So let's say that we're now installing this belief that I'm always supported, or you're installing the belief that I am desirable, or you're installing the belief that people desire my information, or you're installing the belief that people show up for my offering, or people always show up for my offering. You're going to write that sentence on a piece of paper, and then for 5 minutes, you are going to read that sentence either out loud or in your head for 5 minutes, and you're going to ignore everything else. No other data, nothing else. You're not going to think about it. You're not going to brain it. You're not going to process it. You're not going to try and feel emotions. You're not going to try and do anything but read that sentence. You're going to focus on that sentence, and you're going to allow whatever energy to come up, flow through you, but you're not going to do it on purpose. All you're going to do on purpose is read that sentence and ignore anything besides that sentence for 5 minutes. You're not going to do this longer than 5 minutes. If you do it longer than 5 to 10 minutes, you're also operating on the belief that it won't work unless you do enough. That's your unworthiness program, right? We have beliefs in our own unworthiness. You have beliefs that are nested in this. So it's really important that we circumvent those beliefs by trusting that we have the power of our conscious mind. So we are with our conscious mind, choosing to focus on this and pretend. Let me see if I have that. I had that somewhere. I hope I wrote it down. This is the most valuable notebook on the planet, I think.
Oh my
God. Live in your body, believe you. There's such good wording that I had here. I really wanted to read it again. I can't find it. So you're going to focus on that information. And you're going to read it for 5 minutes, and you're going to ignore everything else. And during this time, you are going to pretend using your conscious mind, and you're going to act as both hypnotist and subject. Eric, if you can type it, that'd be cool. It's pretty legible. You're going to act as both hypnotist and subject, and you are choosing to do so. And you are going to do a natural hypnosis, which is you focusing on the sentence that you're writing. And during that exercise, you are going to reject data that conflicts with it and momentarily accept the belief that is on that page, using your conscious mind's power to choose what you believe. Yes. For a period of time, I will momentarily suspend what I believe in this area, money, for example, intentionally doing this exercise, and will willfully accept the belief that I want. And intentionally using the power of my conscious mind, I will pretend that I'm under hypnosis, with myself as the hypnotist and the subject. For that time, desire and belief will be one. There will be no conflict because I do this willingly. For this period of time, I will alter completely my old beliefs. Even though I sit quietly, I will act as if the belief I want is mine completely. So, what we are doing here, this is a really, 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 really powerful exercise. It works really, really, really quickly. And so, as you do this exercise, the thing we want to understand is it takes time. It takes time for our cells to rearrange. So when we change our belief using our conscious mind, what we're doing is we're communicating with our cellular intelligence. Our cellular intelligence is operating on trillions upon trillions of actions every single nanosecond. It is holding the bandwidth of data that is so far beyond what our rational mind can hold that we need to understand that aspect of our consciousness is always co-creating with us. And that it's not our job to handle that data, but to trust the framework upon which that data operates. And so we are going to use that. We're going to focus. And during that time, that the cells and the energy that's able to flow through those cells are going to be able to rearrange themselves. They're going to realign with the belief that we are holding. But this takes time. It takes physical time for the cells to rearrange and revamp. So we're going to have to do this exercise for 3 days. You're going to have to pick that one sentence, and for 5 minutes a day, you're going to focus on that. And then the next day, you're going to do the same exercise. And then the next day, you're going to do the same exercise. And within 3 days, you will see tremendous transformation. You will also get some interesting information. So as you begin to install that belief, if you chose a belief that is not in the grasp of what you can currently hold, what will happen is you will feel an opposition or a resistance or a gap between the belief you want to install and the belief you currently hold. So if you say, I want to fly, I believe I can fly, well, there's a pretty big gap between where you are and where you want to be in terms of ability. And so what would need to happen is you need to make other steps that affirm your ability indirectly so that you can actually get to flight by walking to it through a different path that is organic for you. So there's a skill in rewriting your beliefs. So part of this game, as you go through this process over the 3 days of writing this, doing this exercise, you will find that data will come up that shows you oppositional beliefs, and you're going to have to examine those. Data will come up and show you that that belief you wrote is not as effective as it could be. And then you'll rewrite it to make it more effective. And then you'll keep focusing. And then you'll rewrite it and you'll keep focusing. And so what's going to happen is you're going to refine that belief to the point where you can hold it, where you can be clear on what beliefs to install. And so it can be very empowering, but it also is a really challenging skill. And here's why. What is happening here is most people, when they're going through this healing work, last year they just started to track their thoughts. They became aware of what they were thinking, and through what they were thinking, they became aware of what they were feeling. And then they started to be understanding of what they were thinking in relationship to what they were feeling. And so they started to gain emotional intelligence. But what they didn't understand is that there's other aspects of how you can start to choose that influence what you're thinking and feeling, because your imagination, your emotions, and your thoughts all follow your beliefs. So you cannot come up with imagination or thoughts or feelings that do not exist as a belief for you already. And so as you cultivate these other beliefs, those will change as well. And as you try to install beliefs, your emotions will be indicators of what you currently believe. So the thoughts and the stories that you tell yourself. So as you go to pay for this class and you start telling a story about the things you can afford and the things that are possible, you're going to have emotions that come to the surface, and you need to feel those emotions. Your consciousness you need to not be afraid of your own consciousness. You need to not be afraid of looking at the negative beliefs. You need to not be afraid of looking at evil. You need to understand what your belief is about good and evil, because that's going to tie into what your belief is around worthiness and unworthiness, and what you set as your ideal. That's going to set your belief around what it means to sell. It's going to establish your belief around all these different layers that are all interwoven, and you can't know that until you start to establish new beliefs and examine your own feedback. Is anybody else having sound issues? Somebody messaged and said, so hopefully you guys can hear me. If not, let me know in the chat. Okay. So we want to be able to understand that, because takes a tremendous amount of self-awareness. So as you examine your beliefs, not only are you examining your emotions and your thoughts, but then you need to look at the emotion and thought and the story that ties those emotions and thoughts together. And that will lead you to what you believe about what you're experiencing. And so if you can understand what you believe about what you're experiencing and track that, you may not be able to do it in real time yet. You may have to do a thing and interact with it and then reflect on it later. And that's where I come in. And so with this program, I have a gift for dismantling and breaking down all the nested beliefs that you hold in all of these different areas. So not only have I established an ability to completely dismantle these beliefs and understand what their weavings are in connection to specifically you, but I can help you install beliefs that you can actually step into and empower yourself through. And this stuff happens really, really quickly. And so I'm going to help you not only hold the frequency of the reality of the heroic self that you want to step into, but I'm going to teach you how to continue to refine those beliefs, how to continue to shift those programs, so that as you step into those roles more and more and you get more data that comes up, you know how to navigate it. You can install quite a few beliefs. You'll see that we can, what happens is, as you install a belief that actually you connect with. So if you're trying to say, I believe I can fly, you're not going to connect with that. But if you set a belief that says, people always show up to my offerings, and then you can start to find affirming data, right? The goal of this process is to find data that confirms your belief. If you can't immediately find data that confirms your belief, it's not good enough yet. You need to find something you can confirm, and be generous, right? Be generous with how you confirm those beliefs. Because you want to, if you say, people always sign up for my stuff, and people always buy my programs, well, then you start reflecting back on it. You're like, yeah, people have always signed up for my stuff. And you use that. And then you can say, more and more people sign up for my stuff every time I offer. People are excited for my offerings. Right? And then you can build that belief. You can stand in that belief. You can hold that belief. And then you can start to work on the worthiness that allows you to embody that end result, which is also based in belief. And so part of this program is asking you the right questions so you can tap into what you actually believe. Because part of this game is actually learning, how do you live in denial of everyone else's beliefs? We have to be able to live in denial of other people's beliefs so that we can find what we believe for ourselves, so that we can create the container we want to live within. And it works. You just have to be strategic with it. So you guys are welcome to ask questions on the chat as we go. We'll read back through them once I get to questions. Which is probably, is that a good time to do it? Yeah. So a couple of things with this program. So the program is going to start on February. It opens February 1st, but the first class is going to be February 3rd. You're going to get some email. Like if you signed up, you'll be getting some emails closer to that with some workbooks. And we're calling it what did we call it?
The master key.
No, the log, the evidence log. The evidence log.
Oh,
so part of this game is actually learning how to find affirming evidence. So I'll be teaching you how to find affirming evidence. I'll be teaching you how to, the amount of stuff that we're going to dismantle and reassemble here is going to be just, if I get a collection of people doing this program, it will literally change the world beyond measure. It is so powerful in shifting people's personal reality and personal empowerment. It is. I mean, part of this game is engineering your life in alignment with your own personal empowerment. The goal is to be empowered, regardless of what's happening outside. Part of this game is understanding there's so many narratives out there right now that are disempowering, and we can literally not live in that. We can literally have it going on all around us and affect us zero. We can, if you know how to cultivate your beliefs accurately and understand what you believe. And if you're afraid of what's going on currently and you're lost in weighing things and you're debating vaccines and you're debating government tyranny and you're lost in conspiracies, all of those are based on your belief. What do you believe will happen if the worst case scenario occurs? Examine what you believe and you will find why you're feeling what you're feeling. You can't understand your emotions until you understand your beliefs. Somebody asked about addiction. I think that's a cool one.
That was a great question.
Would you?
So read it out loud.
Would love to hear your insight on the belief of always being an addict and how to heal that. So we have to understand what addiction is, right? So a couple of things happened when you were younger and you had certain traumas that installed certain beliefs around who you should be as an individual, how you should operate, and where you should be at certain times. And so if you're operating on unworthiness and powerlessness, you will try to find tools that give you external sense of power. So when you are looking for a sense of power or control because you feel powerless, you will have to, we will want to be able to examine what you currently believe. So when you look at addiction, you have to look at what does it mean for you to be an addict? If you label yourself as the worst case scenario of what do people think of you? If people think of you in a certain way and you judge yourself, let me step back. So part of an addiction is you have certain powerlessness that you're trying to solve a problem and you're using your addiction to solve that problem. We all have addictions. We just judge through the lens of good and evil, certain addictions as really bad and certain addictions as non-addictions. A lot of us are addicted to our phone, but we don't judge that in the same category as being addicted to drugs or alcohol or sex or any of these kinds of things. And we want to understand, what problem do you believe you're solving by using this? What disconnection are you trying to connect with? So if you believe that you are disconnected and you are powerless in the face of your emotions, and you're powerless in the face of your circumstances, and you're powerless to understand yourself, and you're powerless to understand the flow of consciousness through you, well, then you're trying to feel power. You're trying to suppress what you're feeling because you haven't decided to take ownership of the beliefs that you accepted at one point or another as only one truth, not the only truth. One truth as within a probability that you've been aligning with. And so can you understand the implications of the beliefs that influence the emotions, that influence the thoughts, that influence the solution and the data that you see? So if you're depressed or you're using these different tools to help you emotionally, then you also have beliefs that cause you to think you're disconnected or cause you to think you don't have the data that you need to be the person that you want to be. So how do you rework the beliefs and dismantle the disempowering beliefs so that as you show up, you can begin to refocus your intention and refocus that belief so new data comes up. And as that new data comes up, you can find that data, use that data as conflicting data for the belief that you held before. Use new data, find conflicting data with your old beliefs. The best thing you can possibly do to dismantle your old beliefs is just find things that conflict with it. Nothing is true except when you believe it is. Nothing is true except when you believe it is. There are a lot of different truths, and the only person who selects them is you. You chose your disempowerment. You can choose something else by dismantling what you currently believe, by feeling what you feel and giving yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. If you're too afraid to feel what you're feeling, you're afraid of your own consciousness, and there's no need for that. Let's see, what other ones are good to dismantle?
This is really resonating. There's a lot of great questions.
Do you guys, I'm happy to go through this for a little bit longer. You guys want me to dismantle a couple more beliefs? Yes? You interested in that? Cool. All right, let's do it. we'll do it because I want you to get an idea of what we're doing here. So there's some really good ones that we can dismantle.
That's a great question for you.
And let's see. Let's see. Huge problems with being healthy. Food wise. I like the food one. Let's do the food one. So what is it? So so the question was, I'm having huge problems with being healthy food wise. I feel like my gut issues are getting worse and worse. I see people around me eating whatever they want and they seem to be fine. I do not know if it's my actual physical problem or if it's something psychological. Can you really change a belief when it comes to dieting?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Change the game for you. Ready? The reason your body manifests the way that it does is because of what you believe. This is nested within a lot of different contexts. So you have been hearing throughout your entire life, this type of food is safe, this type of food is unsafe. And then that dialogue changes. Well, now this type of food is unsafe, and now this type of food is safe. And then you have other information about, maybe you think you have certain beliefs around what you need to do in order to look the way you want. And then you have certain beliefs around what you need to do. So let's say you have a belief that you need to eat less to lose weight. And then you also have a belief that if you don't eat enough, you'll be unhealthy. Those conflict, and your body tries to be healthy and unhealthy at the same time. If you believe that fasting is dangerous, but your body is gaining weight because you're eating so much, because you're getting energy from what you have beliefs that you're getting energy from the universe, and that if you don't eat enough, that you're going to have some unknown disease, then you're going to have conflicts that are going to show up in your body. So part of that game is to examine the things that you believe and choose something to believe. Meaning, what would I do? Can I just say, okay, if I'm gaining weight, I can't just say, okay, I'm losing weight, I believe it. It's never going to happen. So how do I do that? So what I need to do is start to give myself a belief in something that's empowering. Can I believe that my body is intelligent? Through what you've learned today, can you see the intelligence of your cellular consciousness to act on mechanisms to fulfill the beliefs that you hold? And trust the intelligence of your body, because it is doing trillions of actions per second that you have no awareness of and couldn't even begin to calculate. And so when you think of these things, you can start to trust your body. You can say, I have a belief that my body is capable. I have a belief that my body is actually capable of handling the things that I give it. I have a belief that my body is capable of handling these toxins because it has organs that are meant to detox. Now, if at the same time you say my body is incapable, well, then we need to dismantle that belief. If you believe that your body isn't capable of handling this huge amount of toxins, well, you're going to be right. And so it's important to say, well, okay, what kind of conflicting evidence do I have that actually says my body's very capable? It's been able to do this and this and this. Maybe it's been able to be really strong in a certain type of way. Find the conflicting evidence that says your body is powerful and capable, and live on that. Say, my body is capable of processing any food I give it. It's capable of using different metabolic pathways. It's capable of processing toxins, and it has all the capability and information that it needs to be successful at it. Now, when you don't believe it's capable, and then you are conflicting within yourself, you are going to have conflicts like pain and indigestion and stomach issues, which is why I keep saying it's important to dismantle what you currently believe. The thing is, so this is a good thing to go to. So what if it constantly comes back to, I don't know what I believe?
That's a lot of people.
A lot of people don't know what they believe, but that's not true. You keep telling yourself that because you believe you don't know what you believe, because you keep telling yourself that. Now, do you know what you believe? Let's say, how do we know what we believe? Well, you either already know what you believe because you're passionate about it, or you have an emotion. The emotion can lead you to what you believe because the emotion leads you to a story. Based on that story, if you dissect that story, it will tell you about what you believe about what you're looking at. And so part of the skill that I'll be teaching in the Master Key program is, how do you find out what you believe? I'll be literally walking you through that on specific topics. And then we're going to cultivate better beliefs. And then we're going to do at the same time, focusing on the good beliefs and dismantling the old ones and understanding the skill of doing both while understanding, how do I know what I believe next? How do I know, once I've shifted my beliefs, what do I do next to keep growing them and expanding them? And each week we're going to build on that concept and just keep reworking it and reworking it. And not only that, not only am I going to hold you in the energetic container of how all these things unfold and in the possibilities of the things that I'm introducing you to, because I'm already living them. We're already living them. Some of my clients are already living them. They're already working, and they work really, really fast. So it's not like you're going to wait for 6 months and just keep waiting. And then I'm going to teach you these skills, and you're going to have these skills. You're going to be able to apply these skills in profound ways to do all kinds of things that you can't even imagine now because of the beliefs that you're currently holding.
You don't see the info.
As you simply don't see the information. One of the things I meant to do, I want to read these because these are pretty.
Oh, they're so good.
I got some really good testimonials from my clients who, right after they start doing some of this work, but it's pretty cool. So I'm going to read a couple of these testimonials that I haven't shared yet that are really, really cool. So this one was from Dave, and we had asked him, what he got out of the freedom teachings, what he got from working with me, those kinds of things. And he said personal empowerment in every area of my life. Empowerment to think in new ways, feel in new ways, act in new ways, adopt new beliefs. I was in therapy for the last few years and have worked with about a dozen coaches and healers in various capacities over this past year. I have learned and grown through my interactions with each of them, and am very appreciative for those experiences. But it has been Ryan who has pulled all the pieces of the puzzle together with me and has spoken to my deepest fears and desires. He has been a tremendous source of wisdom and insight to me, and by extension, those close to me. And he has done this in a way that empowered me to take charge of my life for myself, and has not created an indefinite dependency on him and his coaching.
That's baller. It's so good.
Here's another one. This one was from Scott. What sets Ryan apart from any other coach or guide out there, and the aspect of his coaching that has made the most impact for me, is the power of the energetic container which he creates and maintains. Not only does he connect all the dots that others seem to miss, but the energetic container alone provides an unmatched space for self-empowerment, growth, and expansion. It's incredibly unique to share this space with others seeking similar expansion, and the interaction with everyone in the container amplifies all the work you are doing and the results you see in your life. This structure is truly the most significant force multiplier you can find for transforming your business, relationships, or anything else you're working on in your life at every level. This is an experience I would never have been able to find anywhere else, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to grow and connect with others in this deep energetic capacity. This one was from Eric.
Oh, yeah.
Was there a question? The energetic container was essential. When I read Scott's testimonial, some emotions came up. Where else is there a container where we know it's safe to bring this stuff up and get support dissecting and growing through it, especially as effectively as is done in this group? When I met Ryan and Joshua Tree, it took all the courage I could muster to tell him one-on-one that I had not had sex. This group was safe and supportive enough that I could share this thing that was really shameful for me. And now, especially with all the transmitter work, I have shared it with many more people, and even have an article on my new website detailing my experience overcoming this shame and my super limiting belief and fear of abandonment. The transmitter program really has been powerful, has had powerful effects, and I'll share my link to the article if you want to read just some of the effects the transmitters had. This was huge for me. And this was only part of healing I experienced this year. Other things include money scarcity fears. I was one of those people that constantly checked their bank account. Now I rarely check it and feel much better about spending money and confident in investing in myself. Sovereignty and showing up. It is about who you are, not what you are doing, was a big one for me. As I worked through being rebellious and not showing up at work, to now showing up, wanting to co-create, and now working to expand my work and be able to work with people with color puncture and healing with my own business, and so many more things, as well as all the tools for connecting to yourself and expanding consciousness like DNA activations. So cool and powerful, and right now I want to find friends to do this stuff with. So all those words you used, more vibrant, loving, wise, powerful, are very applicable. I am more vibrant and excited about the life I can experience and create. I am more loving to myself and compassionate and understanding of others. I've gained so much wisdom about how reality in my mind works and more powerful in growing and creating the reality I want.
And it's true. We've seen this happen.
And then here's Lucy's, which I liked a lot too.
Oh.
I would be here all week if I were to list everything I have achieved, healed, overcome, learned within the Freedom Teachings. One of the most profound things I have learned, however, is how to be empowered, to step out of my victimhood and understand that I create my own reality. I've been able to shift from seeing everything through a frustrated and negative lens, which is something I believed I would never overcome. I have enjoyed his style of coaching, which involves tough love rendered from a place of soft love, which I believe pushed me totally out of my comfort zone to make the changes I needed to. Amongst a huge amount of coaches out there, Ryan is different because when you're working with him, there are no shortcuts or bypassing anything to get temporary fixes. The results are real and bloody amazing. And this has by far been the biggest and most valuable investment I've ever made. I was initially scared to invest my money as it seemed like a lot to pay per month, but since being part of the coaching for some time now, I realized, where did I lose it? That the value of his coaching is absolutely priceless to me. I now can't believe how reasonably priced it is for the growth I've had in return. I am so incredibly grateful not only to Ryan, but also to all the other Freedom Teaching members for sharing their own experiences and advice that have helped me grow massively. Although I'm sad to see the Freedom Teachings come to an end, I couldn't be happier to have met such a wonderful group of humans that I get to call my friends. And lastly, I'm super excited for what is to come next. I'm ready to shift every belief I've got.
Yes.
And what I want you guys to understand is that what I'm going to teach you, and hopefully you're feeling it by walking through what I've shown you already, is just how powerful these techniques are and how quickly they can create transformation in you.
So we've had a lot of the same question.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read it out loud?
Yeah. Is it best to focus on one new belief for the 3 days and then move on to the next, or can you do more at the same time? Here's what I would say. If you're new to doing this, like if this is the first belief you're ever installing, what I would start with is self-empowerment. So I would work on beliefs that help you feel empowered and help you feel powerful and help you feel capable and help you see possibility. And I would start by installing that and see what is born out of it. So once you start to install that belief, what you'll find is like beliefs that match it and are more powerful will just compound very, very quickly. You won't even have to force it. They'll just shoot right through you. Mm-hmm. So start there. And what that will lead you to is more information about which beliefs to shift next. If you go straight to money while still operating in disempowerment, you're going to have a really hard time reconciling the two, possibly. And so you can, I would say, start with like one category. And work on self-image or how people perceive you, or start with self-worth in the sense in that same kind of sense, so that you can build from there. I wouldn't say you can install as many as you want. I would say that if you're installing too many, you might also be operating in not enoughness, and incapacity and doubt, and so you might be and wanting to be done, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to install all these beliefs and then be done, and then I can go back to living my life. And so part of this game, everybody wants to have this, they want to find this blissful state where they know everything and they have everything finished and they could be at this state of completion and perfection, right? And they operate on that perfectionism, never actually moving forward anyway, because there's no such thing as perfection. Consciousness, everything can always be improved. Everything can always be improved. And your beliefs can always be improved and expanded. And you, by nature of thinking in a certain direction and following a line of probability with your mind, is expanding what is possible in the realm of what's there. You're creating new trajectories. And so the more you understand how these probabilities work and how they create possibility, you can start to accelerate yourself towards larger goals than what you thought were possible for you, not by jumping and skipping over straight to it overnight, but by taking those steps and then looking back and realizing, holy crap, that did happen overnight, right? It's not about being rescued by your beliefs. It's about using the skill of installing the right beliefs and tracking the beliefs you already have so that you can use this as a skill to make yourself more and more powerful as you move throughout your life. Uh, yes. So is an empowering phrase, I'm worth it, just too vague? Yes, that is too vague. So because well, let me examine that. So when you say I'm worth it, what does it mean to be worth it? What does it mean to you to worth it? How do you see yourself? How do other people see you when you're worth it? And so what you'll find is as you start to dismantle that, that will take you to the true belief about what you actually think about yourself. So if you think you're not worth it, then there's things that can come up or come to the surface as a result of that. So what you want to understand is the is well, let me see if I can think of one that'll be good for you. So if you want to cultivate a belief that you are worthy of these opportunities. So if you're on the fence about investing in the course, right? If you're still working through possibility and you're still working through some of these things, um, so well, I lost my train of thought because I saw what you wrote.
Oh, don't
Um,
worry that.
yeah.
Oh,
What we want to do is say, okay, if I was my perfect self, how would people see me? And so ask yourself and then start to detail that a little bit more. And then from that, find a belief that you can currently hold. So don't just say, okay, I've been a bump on a log for the last 6 years and I have no money in the bank, but people see me as Tony Robbins, or they see me as this really powerful speaker, and you have no evidence of that. Find something you have evidence of that makes you feel powerful. It does not, you want to be very generous at it. It could be as simple as you understanding like, this will be really good for you. When I look at you, not only do I see the divinity in you, but I see the possibility of all the different probabilities that you could walk through from today on. I see the power of your consciousness and divinity to align with possibilities that are so far beyond your wildest imaginings that you could not even hold them in your current consciousness. And so the love that I feel towards people, towards you and people in general, is with that lens of innate worthiness that every human on the planet has this possibility to change their beliefs, to shift into different fields of probability and align with them and alter their past and change the trajectory of their future and understand how to take the steps to get there. That makes me feel pretty worthy. If everyone has that kind of power, that's pretty worthy. That's pretty powerful. Can you use that as a springboard to start cultivating worth everywhere else? All right. So again, the course is starting February 1st. You're going to have so the cart is open. Will you send the link?
yep.
So give them the link in the chat. She's going to type it in. It's minsflow.com/the master key. So you can find the website there. So minsflow.com/the master key. The program is going to start on February 3rd. It'll kind of open before that. So you'll get some emails for the Telegram. You can start working on stuff before that if you want. So that will open up over the course of the next week. You're welcome to go to that website and sign up at any time. If you sign up from today, from these links, I'm going to send you a couple of sessions from the Freedom Teachings about beliefs and about all these different things. You can rewatch those sessions and dig into it. So we'll have one on money. We'll have one on some other belief work that we've done. So you'll be able to watch those sessions if you'd like to prepare for what we're going to be going through. And then over the next week, we'll be building this up and getting that started. So over the next week, you'll get some workbooks that will have kind of all the work that we're going to be doing throughout the duration of the course and how kind of how we're going to keep reworking it. And we're going
very specific.
It's very
It's
specific.
very specific. So if this is, man, yeah, I don't want to yell. So if this is opening your mind to some major possibilities, which it really should be, because you feel this right now, and you're starting to wonder, well, like, how do I approach it? The how is in the course. The how is in the course. You can take everything that Ryan taught today and fly with it, and realize that you have beliefs that may inhibit you, and we can dig into those. We'll dig into the specifics. And it is amazing what the refinement process does, because the beliefs are very, very specific to each individual, and even how you phrase them, the energy with which you phrase them, the slang that you use in your beliefs needs to speak to you, and that's what we're doing. It's very, very powerful. Very powerful.
And so even, the other added benefit of how this is going to work is we're going to be in a group of people doing this work. There's going to be a good number of people in this program, and all of us are reframing our beliefs. And not only are we reframing our beliefs, but we're going to be talking about our successes. Imagine a group of people all doing this work together, talking about their successes and affirming the power of the program, while also reworking the beliefs that help you be successful in the program and co-creating it together. It's foolproof. It's so powerful. And it's going to be so easy once you're in this container to walk through it step by step, see those transformations, even if you can't even tell what you believe now, even if you can't even hold that information. I'm going to make that available to you. And the questions I ask are going to bring it right up to the surface, and you're going to know how to rework it, and you're going to know how to track it, and you're going to develop that skill, and you're never going to lose it, because you're going to never be able to think about it differently. It's just going to make such a massive, tangible change so many places in your life.
And once it clicks.
So the course is $1,785, or you can make 2 payments in $1,111, spaced 60 days apart. You'll see that right on the page when you click that link. You can sign up anytime over the next couple of weeks. You can sign up as late as February 8th. So the container is going to close. So the early bird pricing is going to end February 1st. And then you'll have until February 8th to join. You will be able to purchase after the fact. If you'd really like to watch the recordings, everything is going to be recorded. And so if you're ever going to miss a session, you don't have to worry about missing it entirely. As long as you submit your homework and your belief work and the things that we're doing in the evidence logs and the exercises that I'm giving you, and you submit the homework, so to speak, so I can go through it. Then when I do the Q&A sessions, I'm going to break apart all the beliefs. So I'm going to go through all the things that you guys submit. We're going to break them down. We're going to rewrite them together. And I'm going to tell you what to install from there based on what you guys wanted to do. And so we're literally going to have you guys create the life you want. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. And then I'm going to help you be effective at it.
And all the mental gymnastics that is required to navigate all of the things that are going to pop up, whether it be emotional, belief related, all of it.
We'll teach you how to feel the emotions. We'll teach you how to navigate the opposition. I'll teach you how to think about it, what to think, and how to focus. And I'll walk you literally right through that process. There's no force of will. There's no external entities that allow this to happen for you. It is solely the power of your belief, allowing the energy, the belief influencing the energy that can flow through you, and allowing the emotion to show up as it shows up, allowing you to heal the things that you need to heal so that you can show up embodied in that energy. And you'll have no choice but to be successful at it. It'll improve it'll improve your business. It'll improve your relationships. It'll improve your self-image. It'll improve your body image. It'll improve your sexuality. All of these things will change in massive, massive ways.
What questions do you have about the program?
So what questions do you guys have about the program specifically? The homework itself should be fairly quick. It shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. Usually, I mean, you can take 15, 20 minutes.
I've got a question. So what are the 2 times that the Zoom meetings will be throughout the week?
Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, and Saturdays at 1 p.m., just like this.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to make the times scattered a little bit so people on other sides of the planet could make it and do that kind of thing. So 4 o'clock seems to work for a lot of places, and or people can make it work and show up at different times if they want to, if they really want to be there. And
Otherwise, you get the recording.
yeah, otherwise you'll get the recording. You're not going to miss
Mhm.
anything necessarily. It'll be, you'll be able to submit all the same info, and I'll still go through your info whether you show up to the chat or not. So all that will be in there for you to watch, whether you can make the recordings or not.
And then there will be
There's-
2 separate Telegram channels.
Oh,
Yeah. I've got the deets. I'm like the organization queen. Okay, so we're gonna have 2 separate Telegram channels. One is gonna be to submit all the homework, so it's all in one spot. The other Telegram channel is gonna be to talk with everyone within the group during the week in between all the sessions, and you can share your experience. You can learn, see what kind of evidence everyone else is finding, use their evidence. So there's going to be this whole massive, this group of people
submitting
finding evidence
for the beliefs
that
you're
you can
cultivating.
use, that you
And
don't
can
have to
use their
think of.
evidence. Like, the point is to find evidence. It doesn't have to necessarily be your evidence. It just has to be evidence. And so, yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday and 1 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday is when the chats are. And yeah, it's going to be really, really powerful. I'm really excited about it. So
Okay to come in half an hour late into the meetings. Well, I finished
Yeah.
work.
That's fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just watch the
just navigate.
recording.
We'll be in the groups, so chat with us and let us know what's going on. You guys will be my family during the course of the month, so we'll be interacting. We'll be doing this work. I'm not going to leave you hanging. So, all right, guys. I hope you got a lot out of this masterclass. I hope you can I'll upload it. You'll get the recording. This begins February 3rd. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll help you out that way. And if not, I will see you at the beginning of February.
You know
Thank
what?
you.
And please, I want to, like, we both want to know what you got out of this. So like share it on Instagram, on stories, tag Ryan. So curious. I want to know. I think we both want to know.
Yeah, if you try the exercises, or if you got something out of it, or you have any thoughts, or you went to it and it made you think in a certain way, and you feel like tagging me.
Quotes.
Yeah, or quotables, or any of that kind of stuff that you want to share, feel free to share it, and I'll share you as as well. We can build that up and get people excited, because the more energy we can build, the more excited people are, the more interactive we are, the more success everyone's going to get. This is going to be really, really powerful, and the more committed we are.
You know that spongy brain flex that you get from learning a lot of things?
Yeah.
It's like my brain's expanded.
Certainly will be.
Yes.
Certainly will
Yes.
be.
Let's expand those spongy brains, shall we? And only soak up the things that are
Where's the control?
in line with the beliefs we want to create.
All right, guys. So that I will call it for today. I will get this uploaded. You'll get the recordings. You'll get it emailed. So if you are, if you didn't get the email to log into it today for whatever reason, and I'll make sure I'll send the email. If you don't get the recording by, let's say, tomorrow night, let me know and I'll just send it to you manually. It'll be on the Master Key page once the recording is up, so you can rewatch it on that page as well. And you're always welcome to come back and rewatch it. It'll be on YouTube, and if you feel like redoing those exercises or any of that kind of stuff. So that'll be for you, and I would love to see you in the program.
I cannot wait. This is going to change lives. It's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to see you in there. Let's do this.
All right, guys. I will see you next time.